And now for something completely different, but in a good way for once in this series' lifespan.
Golden Axe, the Duel.
A fighting game of all things. Finally, a spin-off title that's in my wheelhouse. Goodbye, shitty adventure games. Hello, fun fighting games. Initially an arcade title released in Japan on January 17th, 1995, and later getting ported to the Sega Saturn on September 29th of the same year, and finally wiggling its way over to us Yanks on June 27th of 1996. The Duel actually takes place in a pre-established timeline as well, being the direct sequel to The Revenge of Death Adder. Quite the act to follow, truth be told. 80 years after the events of The Revenge of Death Adder, things have actually managed to calm down quite a bit. No tyrants, no new evil giants, no problems caused by the axe whatsoever. But good things were never meant to last forever, and the axe once again makes an appearance. This time, however, the axe is even more powerful than before. How? Well, wouldn't you be feeling refreshed after an 80-year nap? The immense power calls to people all around the world, and a bevy of warriors from all across the land come to claim its power. 10 warriors, in fact. Some familiar, some entirely new, and all desiring the axe for their own reasons. Some to claim its power for themselves, and some to steal it away for good. These 10 are your playable characters in the duel, and each of these characters have their own distinct movesets and special attacks as well. Some of them are archetypes that are easily recognizable for us fighting game fans too. Getting out of the way first thing, I played Green. He's big, he's got a command grab. He's the grappler. Simple. Green fights in the hopes that obtaining the axe will return him to his human form. Now let's go over all the characters, starting with the more familiar ones. Kane Blade is our Axe Battler XP for this game and is looking anime as fuck this time out. He's also the game's Shoto, Fireball, Shoryuken, and Dan Kicks. I love that if you ever played Street Fighter, you'll basically always have a similar character to play in any 2D fighting game, even this Golden Axe one. Milan Flare, our Tyrus XP, but in stark white with pretty much no red whatsoever. Doesn't even have a red alternate costume. Weird. We also have our bearded axe-wielding dwarf in Gilius Rockhead, a blue-clad descendant of Gilius instead of green, who has the best anti-fireball move I've ever seen in a game. And then comes Death Adder, sporting his sick revenge look, of course, with the big dragon shield and everything. And that's pretty much it for familiar and at least semi-familiar faces. Technically, these are all descendants of our original heroes, but I mean, come on. The rest of the roster are completely new characters for the franchise. Zoma, a devious snake mage. I kinda like Zoma. His little skip walk gives me a good laugh every time I see it. Tiptoe by the window. He can also do it airborne. And there's Doc, an actual ninja, sporting golden flowing locks of hair, and much like his name implies, a healer from the island of Mirabar. A Dr. McNinja before there ever was a Dr. McNinja. Keel the Mad, an insane elf with water and ice-based powers. And lastly comes Jam, a young feral girl raised by the beasts of the wild, and Poncho, a big fat guy who throws bombs. I gotta say, I do love all the character designs in this game. I might compliment it too much, but everyone is very colorful and fun. The descendants of our fair heroes with their newish looks are great, invoking their ancestors without being exact duplicates. All the newbies are fantastic additions as well. I could definitely see these characters as playable or as villains in the original or any of its sequels, really. I also have to take a moment to compliment the animations in this game. Some of them look a bit weird, for sure, but overall, I think the characters and their attacks are all pretty well animated. They look nice, and that's a big plus for this game. You ever seen an ugly animated fighting game? Trust me, it's something you notice. Each of these characters also has their own distinct stage in which you fight them on. Except Jam, which I guess makes sense for a wild girl with no home, but it's weird she didn't even get like a jungle stage or something. I gotta take another moment to really compliment the stages in this game too. They look super good. I played this on Saturn for reference, and it's honestly impressive how good this game looks on console. I think that's just the Saturn's hardware though. It really was that good. All the stages are really bright and colorful, a plus for me. I keep mentioning it, but I hate when games are drab and shitty. Give me colors, please. Not to mention, they're all very alive with activity. Almost every stage is villagers cheering you on as you fight, moving grass being blown by the wind, floating platforms, and all are just alive with background activity. It's a little thing, but the best fighting games, at least in my opinion, always have really lively stages. Also, a big shout out to this game for including our humble chicken leg as a background character. Shame on Golden Axe for not including him. Though, not sure how I feel about the Tin Woman with tits and ponchos stage, and there seems to be one locked away behind the door right here as well. Poncho Ponchos has a sense of humor, I'm told, but I gotta be honest, Sex Doll is a bit weird. And for all I know, that locked away Tin Man was his last Sex Doll who gained sentience and tried to escape, but is now locked away for all eternity. You'll battle through these characters in their stages, with the game's sub-boss being the big bad himself, Death Adder. An interesting note about Death Adder is, much like in Revenge, you can break his shield and he loses access to all the moves related to it. Outside of losing the Fireball special though, I don't know if it has an effect on his defense or something like Vega in Street Fighter when he loses his mask. Other characters have the flash on blocks too, which makes me think maybe they had losable parts as well, but it was probably cut for time or something. Mechanically, Golden Axe the Duel functions pretty similar to Street Fighter 2, or maybe Sam Show would be more appropriate since it features weapons for a majority of the characters. It's a 6-button fighter, 3 punches and 3 kicks of varying strengths of course. Combos definitely exist, and characters can be juggled as well. You also have a backdash for mobility and a full tilt run for forward mobility. Every character has specials, too. Duh, what would a fighting game be without them? Green, for instance, has a command dash that can end with an uppercut, a sick backbreaker command grab, and a move where he spins his arms at you.
You get hit, it's your own fault.
Uniquely, Golden Axe the Duel has this little power meter here, which is filled by collecting magical pots, which you get by smacking around Golden Axe mainstays, the thieves. This time out though, they're looking a little more furry than normal. Weird. Anyway, collect enough pots and you'll be able to activate your power-up mode, which increases your damage for a limited time and allows you to execute your super move. Some of them are pretty impressive looking. Gameplay-wise, Duel is incredibly fast-paced and frenetic. Even someone like Green moves quickly. It's insane, though I do have the command dash. Regardless, the Duel is like playing Super Turbo in a Golden Axe-themed world. Look, even my standing light kick has crazy forward momentum. Green's a master of the toe crusher, apparently. Not even to be outdone by that, though. Green was actually a pretty insane character overall. I don't know about how the characters in this game are tiered, since, well, I didn't really sit down and plot out all 10, but man, Green is strong. All of his pokes are pretty insane, but especially his crouching medium punch, this reach-out backhand here. Good range on this thing, so I used it pretty liberally in my learning stages. Not even just the pokes make Green really good too, though. What really makes Green broken is his command dash. It has insane range, it's completely invincible to strikes and projectiles, it's safe so you can just throw it out while holding back and be unpunishable, and it has an uppercut ender that's totally safe too, and it can lead into a juggle if it connects. I might be making assumptions on the move's safety since it's not like I have a reliable way to test this admittedly, but this is a fighting game AI we're talking about. If I was unsafe doing something, I would get punished every time. But I could just command dash all day on the AI. Once I learned this, basically everybody but Death Adder was a breeze. In fact, my main strategy in my Green arcade run was to just command dash into regular grab. If I wasn't so dog shit at doing 360s on a Saturn controller, I could probably have just command dash into backbreaker all day. Anyway, arcade mode is the main way of play here. You'll fight all 10 playable characters with Death Adder as a sub-boss, and after you defeat him, you'll move on to the final boss.
Duel 1.
The Golden Axe itself, now in golem form. Admittedly, I'm kinda sad it isn't just a floating axe you have to fight. The Golden Axe will only hand himself over to the one he deems worthy, and the only way to be deemed worthy is by whooping his ass. After he clobbers yours a bunch, clearly. Much like every arcade run and almost every fighting game ever, Golden Axe rewards you with a unique ending for each character. The good guys generally use the axe to protect their families and kingdoms. Kane and Milan do this, and Doc actually uses the axe to cure illnesses and disease around the world. Alternatively, they get rid of it entirely, such as the case with Gilius, who buries the axe in the earth so it can never be found again, or Jam, who does essentially the same thing. Green opts to forsake being returned to a human form and just feckin' hucks the thing into the ocean. On the flip side, evil characters tend to use the axe for their own ambitions. Death Adder just straight conquers the entire world. Zoma creates a potion that will grant him ultimate power after it ferments for 100 years for some reason. And Pontius just makes a suit of armor out of the axe and becomes ruler of his own kingdom. Most unique among the endings though is Keel, who after acquiring the axe has his madness disappear entirely and can live in peace now, having forgotten the atrocities he's committed. Unlike me, I have to live with what I've done. So yeah, let's wrap this double duty episode of CSM up. A Golden Axe retrospective bit, and a ranking on the search for the worst fighting game. Let's do the fighting game part first real quick. I think I'll honestly be putting Golden Axe the Duel as the new number 3. I'll admit, I'm probably a bit biased since this is the Golden Axe title, but I had a ton of fun playing this game. The characters are fun and interesting design-wise, the stages are gorgeous, the attacks are well animated, and the gameplay is tight and responsive too. Sure, it does take a lot of notions from Street Fighter, but is copying one of the best fighting game franchises out there really a bad thing? This is the type of game that probably still has a dedicated community somewhere still playing it to this day. As for being a Golden Axe title, well, I think this one's awesome. Better than the last few I've reviewed, that's for sure. Everything in this game just fits really well with the Golden Axe world and its barbarian swords and sorcery aesthetic. A welcome addition to the Golden Axe family, unlike these redheaded stepchildren. Hurrah! A game outside the realm of beat-em-ups that's actually good for once. Anywho, we're actually starting to close in on the end of this little retrospective, with just 2 or 3 titles left to look at, I believe. As always, my name is HadesManticore. This here channel is City State Manticore. Leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.